not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Honorable members, you may now be seated. Secretary General.
Confirmation of minutes.
I now call on the Leader of the Government in Parliament, the Honorable Rofili Petrusoau, to move his motion.
Speaker, I move that the minutes of the sitting of Parliament held on Thursday, 27 November 2025, as previously circulated, be taken as read and be confirmed.
Is there a seconder?
Honorable Speaker, I second the motion.
Honorable Ratuala Lambure. The Parliament will now vote on the motion. The question is that the minutes of the sitting of Parliament held on Thursday, 27th of November 2025, as previously circulated, be taken as read and be confirmed. Does any member oppose the motion? As no member opposes, the motion is agreed to unanimously. Secretary General.
Communications from the Chair.
I welcome all the honorable members to today's sitting. I also welcome all those joining us in the public gallery and those watching the live broadcast. Thank you for staying connected and engaged in the workings of Parliament. I recognize in the gallery, firstly, the presence of Reverend Inia Mavai, Talatalangasi ni Tamatagako Vuna, including ACS, Newaswasi Orewa of the Methodist Church of Fiji. You are welcome to Parliament on behalf of the honorable members. Talatala, Nimbula Vinaka. Honorable members, please join me in welcoming the students and the teachers and parents of Viria Public School in Itasiri. You are most welcome to your Parliament. I hope that this visit will provide valuable insights into the workings of Parliament and deepen your understanding of its role being one of the three arms of the state. By the way, honorable members, for those interested, the Canberra District School, which visited us last Thursday, is participating for the first time at the Tuckers Primary School Athletics Meet at the National Stadium, which concludes today. Yesterday, the school won its first medal ever. And a gold medal at that. So you can well imagine the euphoria amongst our people here and on the island with that news. I can only say that for us it rivals the national fervor when the country Fiji won its first ever medal, gold medal in the sevens rugby in Rio Olympics. So Canberra District School is sailing back to the island in the Avirau on Monday, riding high on the experience here. Thank you for hosting them, and their Matasarasara that has occupied them for 1 week, but also with the boat laden with their gold medal. Thank you. For the information of honorable members, the Reserve Bank of Fiji will be launching a new series of banknotes, which will be officially unveiled by the President, His Excellency, the President, Ratu Nangama Lalambalabu, on Tuesday, the 2nd of December, at the Grand Pacific Hotel. To commemorate this national milestone, the Reserve Bank of Fiji has extended invitations to all the honorable members of Parliament. And I remind all the honorable members to confirm your RSVP with the bank today so that they may prepare accordingly for the next week's event. I now move on to the ruling on a point of order that was made by the Honorable Rofilipe Thuisawau yesterday. As I had alluded to you yesterday, I would peruse the extract of the uncorrected Hansard report and thereafter deliver my ruling on the point of order that was raised by the Leader of the Government in Parliament. I have now had the opportunity to go through the extract of the uncorrected Hansard report of yesterday's proceedings and will now deliver my ruling accordingly. The Honourable Leader of Government rose on a point of order under Standing Order 62, Clause 1, concerning the remarks made during question time by the Honourable Alvik Maharaj. Specifically, the words used were, and I quote, biggest education scams in this country, which is the Pacific Polytech, close quote. The Honourable Rofilipe Thuisawau further stated that Pacific Polytech was not a fraudulent setup and that it was already approved, legislated, and budgeted for. This prompted my office to peruse the budget estimates that was presented in July 2025 and can verily confirm that the Pacific Polytech was allocated a budget for its operations. I have further perused Standing Order 62, Clause 1, and it clearly provides that, and I quote, a member must not impute improper motives to any other member, close quote. My reading of Honorable Alvik Maharaj's remarks was that he was referring to the institution and not to any member. It is in that respect that I find the point of order raised by the Honourable Leader of the Government irrelevant and therefore out of order. However, in recognition of the legitimacy of the institution Pacific Polytech, with budgetary allocation in the national budget, which was subsequently approved by Parliament, I'm compelled to address the remarks by the Honourable Alvik Maharaj. Having perused the extract of yesterday's uncorrected Hansard report, I find that the remark made by the Honourable Member describing Pacific Polytech as the biggest education scams in this country as out of order. Pacific Polytech is a duly recognized institution, established and operating legitimately under the budgetary allocations approved by the national budget. It is therefore inappropriate, in my view, to characterize it in such terms within this House, and accordingly rule that the remarks and the statement are out of order. And in that respect, I hereby direct the Honourable Alvik Maharaj to withdraw those statements and that the extract be expunged from the Hansard report.
Honorable Speaker, with all due respect to your office, I withdraw the statement.
Thank you. Thank you, Honourable Member. Thank you, Honourable Members. We will now proceed to the next item of the order paper. Secretary General.
Presentation of papers and certain documents.
I now call upon the Minister for Finance, Commerce and Business Development, the Honourable Esrom Emmanuel, to table his report.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. In accordance with Standing Order 38, Clause 1, I present the following reports to Parliament. 1, the Reserve Bank of Fiji, August 24, July 25 Annual Report. Second is the 2025 Fiji National Provident Fund Annual Report. And third is the Reserve Bank of Fiji Quarterly Economic Review, September 2025.
Honourable Minister, please hand the reports to the Secretary General. Under Standing Order 38, Clause 2, I refer the Reserve Bank of Fiji August 24, 2024 to July 2025 Annual Report to the Standing Committee on Economic Affairs and the 2025 Fiji National Provident Fund Annual Report to the Standing Committee on Social Affairs. Honorable members, please take note that the Reserve Bank of Fiji Quarterly Economic Review, September 2025, is for information only and will not be referred to any standing committee. I now call on the Minister for Agriculture, the Honorable Thomas Tunambuna, to table his report.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. In accordance with Standing Order 38, Clause 1, I present to Parliament the 2022-2023 Ministry of Agriculture Annual Report.
Thank you, Minister. Please hand the report to the Secretary General. Under Standing Order 38, Clause 2, I refer the 2022 to 2023 Ministry of Agriculture Annual Report to the Standing Committee on Natural Resources. Thank you, honorable members. We will now proceed to the next item on the order paper. Secretary General.
Questions?
First oral question for today, I now call on the Honorable Lenora Ngerengere-Tambua to ask question 304 of 2025.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I rise to ask a question directed to the Minister for Employment, Productivity and Workplace Relations. Can the Minister update Parliament on measures the Ministry has implemented to protect migrant workers from wage theft, unfair contracts and poor working conditions? Thank you, sir.
I now call on the Minister for Employment, Productivity and Workplace Relations, the Honorable Agnes Singh.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I thank the Honorable Ngerengere-Tambua for the question. Mr. Speaker, sir, the coalition government, through my ministry, is firmly committed to ensuring that all workers, including our migrant workforce, are protected by our laws and treated with dignity and fairness. Our approach is comprehensive, focusing on robust frameworks, effective enforcement, and continuous policy improvement to safeguard against such issues as wage theft, unfair contracts, and poor working conditions. Mr. Speaker, sir, the measures we have implemented and enforced are multifaceted as follows. A universal legal framework. The cornerstone of our protection is that all employment legislation, including the Employment Relations Act 2007 and the Health and Safety at Work Act 1996, apply equally to both foreign and local workers. This ensures that migrant workers have the same legal protection regarding their contracts, working conditions, and safety as any Fijian worker. Mr. Speaker, sir, proactive enforcement and dispute resolution. My ministry maintains an active enforcement mechanism to address complaints from any worker, including migrant workers. Since 2021, the ministry has received over 270 labor complaints from migrant workers. The vast majority of these cases have been successfully resolved, demonstrating our commitment to timely and effective justice. Furthermore, we have a proven track record of recovering unpaid wages for these migrant workers, having recovered a total of $118,426.40. Mr. Speaker, sir, as I alluded to yesterday, local recoveries in the last 5 years have been more than 6 million, which means more than $1 million a year. Shortchanging workers, Mr. Speaker, sir, is a matter that warrants zero tolerance. Mr. Speaker, sir, targeted policy development and review, recognizing the need for our continuous improvement, the ministry is undertaking significant policy reviews. We are currently reviewing the Employment Relations Act to explicitly include and strengthen protections for foreign and migrant workers, with a particular focus on seafarers. Labor inspectors will be able to enter workplaces while in operation, sir. We have noted that breaches in OHS mostly occur during night shifts. Mr. Speaker, sir, A concurrent review of the Immigration Act by the Ministry of Immigration is also underway to strengthen the work permit process, ensuring it supports fair recruitment and fair employment. Mr. Speaker, sir, in collaboration with the International Organization for Migration, that is IOM, and other partners, the government is developing Fiji's national labor mobility policy and strategy, which will provide a comprehensive, forward-looking framework for the protection and welfare of migrant workers. Because the month of November, this month, the Ministry of Immigration convened a series of high-level meetings on national migration and governance. Mr. Speaker, sir, these meetings began with a workshop on the Global Compact for Migration, continued with a technical working group to validate Fiji's new migration policy and action plan. Mr. Speaker, sir, the meetings were not just discussions. They were a critical step to turn policy intentions into enforceable national strategy. The review of the Employment Relations Act on the development and the development of the National Labour Mobility Policy are not happening in a vacuum. The meetings were concrete actions and that precedes enforcement. Mr. Speaker, sir, protecting migrant workers requires coordination across ministries, immigration, police, and others. The Interagency Steering Committee meeting was specifically designed to ensure high-level buy-in and coordination, ensuring that once the new policies are approved, every relevant agency is aligned to their role in enforcement. By aligning Fiji's approach with Global Compact for safe, orderly, and regular migration, the government is integrating international best practices into its national framework. This directly addresses the core of the question, preventing wage theft, unfair contracts, and poor conditions by building a more robust and preventive system from the ground upwards. In short, these meetings demonstrate that the government is moving beyond reacting to individual complaints and is instead building a cohesive, systemic, and preventive national strategy to protect migrant workers, which will then be rigorously enforced across all government agencies. Mr. Speaker, sir, the coalition government's commitment to protecting migrant workers is absolute and not negotiable. We have moved beyond mere rhetoric and are taking decisive, corrective, concrete action. We are not only enforcing the law to recover stolen wages and resolve disputes, but are also systematically building an ironclad system designed to prevent exploitation from occurring in the first place. Mr. Speaker, sir, the government will not tolerate the exploitation of any worker on Fijian soil. We are sending an unequivocal message to all employers: comply with our laws and uphold the dignity of every worker, or face the full coordinated force of the law. Our measures are being implemented, our enforcement is active, and our resolve is steadfast. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I thank the Minister, the Honourable Agnes Singh, for his response. Supplementary, Honourable Koya.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Honourable Minister, in light of the, as you mentioned, ever-changing landscape with respect to migrant workers and our own workers, not just necessarily migrant workers, is the ministry looking at bringing in some legislation similar to what they have in the UK? It's like an Unfair Contract Terms Act. Would you be akin to or thinking about bringing in some legislation with respect to such things? I know there are protections afforded within our laws, but it would be something that would take us to the next level and the next step in terms of contractual situations.
Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, and I thank the Honourable member for the question. Yes, the proposed labour law reform that is now ongoing, once it becomes law, sir, all this will be included. Thank you.
Thank you. Honourable Usamate.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I thank the Minister for his reply, and I think it's important that we treat all workers equally. One of the things that I've One of the things that I've noticed in some of the articles I've read in the papers, that we have these things where these migrant workers, the sets and conditions that they sign on in their country, when they come here is different to what they experience here. I'm wondering how is, because they are obviously signing up to the agent in their country, different sets of conditions, and they come here and it's different. What's the ministry trying to do to deal with that, to making sure that whatever they sign there is what they get here, or vice versa? Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank Honorable Usamate for the question. Mr. Speaker, sir, the agents that sign up the contracts with the workers out there in countries like countries of origin, when they arrive here, it is our responsibility, and whenever it is brought to our attention, we ensure that the contracts are, if they have to be varied, they are varied in a manner that they are in compliance with our national laws and also meet the minimum standards. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Joseph Nan. That is deferred to you, Honorable Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, sir. Honorable Minister, the issue of preference for change of employers. I've come across a few where, again, the working conditions are not favorable and there is a preference for. Is this an immigration issue or is this with you? And there are instances where, unfortunately, the passports are held by the first employer. And I've come across one where this was a construction company that was renovating my home during COVID time, where he was picked up on the street and he cannot return to Bangladesh because his passport is with somebody else. Is this more of a labor issue and employment relations or more with immigration? And what can we do about this? Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Okay, thank you, Speaker, sir, and I thank the Leader of the Opposition for the question. Yes, it is actually an immigration matter, but we all know that withholding anyone's passport is illegal. And if that is reported, they can be prosecuted. There's no two ways about that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Right. Honorable Chan, yes, I saw you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. My question to the Honourable Minister is on the compensation. Are foreign workers covered under workers' compensation, like local workers?
Honorable Minister.
Our national laws, Mr. Speaker, sir, apply equally to all workers. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. The second oral question for today, I call on the Honorable Ilyasa Panawalu to ask question 306 of 2025.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I rise to ask question 306 of 2025, directed to the Minister of Finance and Commerce and Business Development. Can the Minister inform Parliament if there was any study undertaken to evaluate the cost of living index for rural and urban dwellers? Thank you, sir.
I call on the Minister for Finance, Commerce and Business Development, the Honorable Esrom Emmanuel.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I thank the honourable member for the question. Mr. Speaker, sir, no separate or standalone study has been undertaken specifically to measure cost of living index for rural and urban communities. However, Mr. Speaker, sir, the government relies on one of the strongest and most comprehensive tools available to us, and that is the Household Income and Expenditure Survey, or HIES, which provides a depth of information needed to understand how our families are coping with the cost of living. The HIS, conducted every 5 years by the Fiji Bureau of Statistics, goes far beyond simple price checks. It plays a critical role in collecting household information on income, expenditure, access to essential services such as housing, transport, communication, education, and health. The survey captures how households actually live, what they earn, how they spend, and the challenges they face in meeting their daily needs. In addition, the HIS provides updated and essential national statistics including updated poverty lines and poverty estimates, multi-dimensional indicators of hardship, revised CPI weights that make our inflation measure accurate and relevant. Mr. Speaker, sir, this is the evidence that help us see which families are under the most pressure and where support is needed, whether in food, transport, housing, or basic services. It is through this understanding that government has been able to introduce targeted interventions such as zero rating essential food items, reducing duties on critical goods, and strengthening social protection for the vulnerable groups. These are practical measures that have helped ease pressures on household budget. So we looked at both income and expenditure to help. Mr. Speaker, while the HIS is conducted every 5 years, our monitoring does not stop there. We track living costs continuously through monthly CPI updates, regular market price inspection by FCCC, wages and employment data, and insights from social support groups or programs such as FCOS. Together, these help us maintain a clear and up-to-date picture of the pressure facing our people. I would also highlight that the Consumer Price Index, or the CPI, has now been successfully rebased to 2019 using the most recent 2019 HIS data. This means our inflation numbers, which guide cost of living decisions, now reflect the current reality of household spending patterns across Fiji. Inflations of the last 9 months have been in the negative territory and stood at minus 3.4% in October 2025. Mr. Speaker, sir, in the 2025-26 national budget, we have provided around 4.1 million Fiji Bureau of Statistics for the conduct of 2025-2026 HIS, which will provide us with the most recent data on household income and expenditures, and which will further strengthen understanding and guide future policy decisions. Our goal is simple: to ensure that every decision we make is grounded in solid evidence and aimed at improving the daily lives of all Fijians. Mr. Speaker, sir, this government remains committed to easing cost of living pressures, protecting vulnerable families, and building an economy where every household, rural or urban, has the opportunity to live with dignity and security. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
I thank the Minister, the Honourable Emmanuel, for his response. There any supplementary? Honourable Noalu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Supplementary question to the Honourable Minister. Is there any plan to have a dedicated cost of living index for Fiji? What would this involve? What are the future outcomes? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, the Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. As I mentioned before, we don't have a standalone cost of living index. However, government has already set out a clear direction to strengthen how cost of living are measured in Fiji. As the country's official statistic authority, the Fiji Bureau of Statistics is responsible for undertaking regular national surveys and compiling data that inform sound policy decisions. So they've been around for some time now. And at the moment, as I mentioned, FBOS compiling the Consumer Price Index, which is a national measure used to track changes in the prices of a fixed basket of goods and services commonly purchased by household. The composition of this basket of goods and services based on information collected through the HIS. On the other hand, the cost of living index would typically measure how much income a household needs to maintain a constant standard of living, accounting for changes in consumption patterns, substitution, quality changes, and new products. In this regard, the credible cost of living index can only be built on accurate and up-to-date household information. That is why the government has taken decisive action by funding 2025-26 HIES. This major survey covering households across the division, as I mentioned before, will provide the most comprehensive picture of how our people live, earn, and spend. Cost of living index would involve updated household expenditure weights from the new HIES, expanded coverage across both rural and urban communities, detailed price tracking for essential needs such as food, housing, transport, utilities, communication, education, and healthcare. And also a more frequent update cycle to reflect real-time pressures on families. So I mentioned before, we are sticking with the current measures that we have, and we won't move too fast towards the dedicated cost of living index. No.
Thank you. The Honorable Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you. Supplementary to the Honourable Minister, you've mentioned about the 2025-2026 HIES report, survey. My simple question is, has this started? And if so, when do we expect this to be completed? And most importantly, when can we get the official findings of the survey report? Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So, we already, as I mentioned, we already budgeted for the projects to be undertaken. It's already commenced. It will be completed in 2026. The date, I couldn't be able to confirm right now, Honorable Leader of Office.
Thank you. We'll now move on to the third oral question for today. Honorable members, please note that oral question 307 of 225 has dropped from the order paper, as it has been addressed in the ministerial statement by the Honorable Minister Thuisawau on Wednesday, the 26th of November. So we will move on to the fourth oral question for today. I now call on the Honorable Alipati Tridolo to ask question 308 of 2025.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Oral question 308/2025 under my name is directed to the Minister for Agriculture, and it reads, can the Minister inform Parliament on the effect of cattle diseases on the cattle industry in Fiji?
I call on the Minister for Agriculture, the Honorable Thomas Itulembola.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And I also wish to convey my sincere appreciation to Honorable Alipati Tridolo for raising this very, very important question on the effect of cattle diseases on the cattle industry in Fiji. His inquiry highlights a matter of national significance, drawing attention to the challenges faced by our farmers and broader livestock sector, and it was also raised by Honorable Koroi Lapsau earlier this week. By bringing this issue to the forefront, Honorable Tridolo has contributed meaningfully to the ongoing effort to strengthen animal health, safeguarding livestock, and the support for sustainable development of the cattle industry, and also to the respect of the movement of livestock within Fiji. Honorable Speaker, sir, the cattle industry remains an integral part of Fiji's agriculture sector, and I support the livestock livelihood of dozens of rural households and contributes to national food security through production of beef and dairy products. Despite its potential, the industry continues to face challenges related to productivity, genetics, farm management practices, and importantly, animal health. Honorable Speaker, sir, Fiji, like many livestock producing countries, faces two endemic cattle diseases that pose risks to herd health and productivity, and this includes brucellosis, which is a significant infectious disease caused by a bacterium that affects the reproductive system of cattle. It leads to abortion, reduced fertility, decreased milk production, and overall poor herd performance, which can create major economic losses to our farmers. The disease spreads through direct contact with infected animal and contaminated materials such as aborted fetus, placenta, or milk. During the last re-emergence of brucellosis in Fiji, 2009, 282 cattle were found with infection and were concentrated in northern Tailebu region and other parts of the province of Tailebu. Controlling brucellosis is a national priority, and efforts include regular testing and slaughter of infected animals, quarantine of infected herds, and movement regulation on cattle to reduce disease transmission. Since brucellosis is zoonotic, it can infect people through unpasteurized milk, handling of reproductive fluids and tissues, and slaughtered animals, so it is essential to use protective clothing, gloves, footwear when visiting or working on infected farms. Brucellosis, bovine tuberculosis is the chronic infection of a disease caused by a bacteria that affects the respiratory system of cattle and could also spread through its entire body. It is typically transmitted through inhalation of bacteria shared by infected animals or through contaminated feed and water. Infected cattle may show signs such as weight loss, chronic cough, reduced milk production, and general weakness although many animals remain asystemic in early stages, meaning they cannot show these symptoms in the early infection stage. Bovine tuberculosis poses serious economic challenges of livestock, Fiji's livestock sector, because it reduces productivity, impacts trade, and requires strict testing and culling programs to control its spread. Between 2018 and 2021, 3,012 cattle in Fiji were found to be infected with tuberculosis, bovine tuberculosis, which causes particular concentration in the Central Division, especially in Tailebu and Naitasiri provinces. Effective management relies on regular herd testing, improved farm biosecurity, and cooperations between farmers and veterinary authorities to prevent further transmission and protect both animal and public health. Honorable Speaker, cattle disease have significantly impacted Fiji's livestock sector, causing economic losses and disruption and disrupting the productivity of the industry. Some impacts of this disease includes economic losses where livestock disease reduces productivity by lowering beef and dairy production, increasing mortality, and raising farm production costs. This affects household income, national supply chain, and increase our reliance on imports. Threats to public health, both bovine brucellosis and bovine tuberculosis are zoonotic in nature, and they pose risks of infection to farmers, veterinarians, and consumers. Ensuring public health is therefore a public central priority to our disease control programs. Honorable Speaker, outbreaks of disease not only threatens the health of animals, but also affect farmers and their livelihood. The Ministry of Agriculture and Waterways recognizes the strategic importance of this sector and will continue to implement several measures to address the disease challenges, such as strengthening animal health surveillance and diagnostics, national eradication and control programs, genetic improvement and breeding programs, farmers' capacity building, strengthening border control and biosecurity measures, public and private partnership, and industry collaboration in research and climate resilience. Honorable Speaker, the Ministry of Agriculture and Waterways remains fully committed to revitalizing Fiji's cattle sector. Addressing cattle disease challenge is central to this effort through strengthening surveillance, improved veterinary services, farmers' education, enhanced biosecurity, and strengthening the sector partnership. I ensure this August House that our farmers and stakeholders, that the ministry will continue to provide the technical support and resources and the policy leadership needed to safeguard the health of our national cattle herd and drive sustainable growth in the livestock sector in our livestock.
I thank the Minister, the Honorable Tunamuna, for his response. Are there any supplementary questions?
Supplementary,
Honorable Tidolo, you have the floor.
supplementary question, Mr. Speaker. For any youth from the Western Division who is interested in subsistence cattle farming, does the Ministry of Agriculture and Waterways have a list of farms where these youths can buy cows that are free from such diseases?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, sir. We have a database available with our ministry. The TB brucellosis team in Corribia has got all the number of farms that are tested free to move cattle. And they also have different status of diseases in different farms where cattle can be moved between similar status of the disease farm. So rather than just moving cattle from free tested holdings to other holdings, they can also be moved depending on the different health status between the holdings. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Seriratu, leader of the
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. So, Honorable Minister, you've talked about threats to public health and particularly the zoonotic-related infectious diseases. But you are well aware that one of the biggest one of the contentious issues when it comes to addressing this issue is the use of antibiotics and how it affects the immune system of consumers particularly. Can you provide the House with an update and how is the ministry addressing this together with the Ministry of Health, the use of antibiotics? Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. With the use of antibiotics to our livestock in Fiji, even though it may not be for the two diseases that I had mentioned, but the ministry has also got they report to the World Organization for Animal Health the use of antibiotics to our animal, and that is monitored against the total number of livestock that we have, which we also account for. And we will know the level of the use of antibiotics to our animal that will address the need for antimicrobial resistance in livestock. Thank you.
Honorable Vijaynath.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I thank Honorable Minister for advising this House on the two diseases which is common in Fiji and the Ministry providing the technical support. My question to Minister is, can the Minister confirm whether compensation or support package will be provided to the farmers who lose their cattle due to this disease?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Compensation is also paid to farmers who send in their cattle that are tested. Fortunately, some of the infected cattle, especially for TB, are detected at the abattoir, but were not tested. The ministry is only responsible for paying compensation to cattle that are tested positive and are found to be positive, whether it's a total condemnation of the meat or the portions that are condemned. Only the portions that are condemned are paid a certain level of compensation. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Brenda Lal. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, taking into account the cattle diseases, I would like to ask the Minister, what measures are there in place so that to see that such infected animals are not sent to slaughterhouses? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Do you wish for him to repeat the question?
Yes,
can I? Do that, Honorable Lal?
Repeat the question, please.
My question is, what measures are in place to see that such infected animals are not sent to slaughterhouses?
Honorable Minister.
Now, the infected animals have to be sent to slaughterhouses for removal. We will have to send the infected animals. When we test, we will notify the farmers with those animals that are tested. They will have to be, for cattle, for TB cattle, the disease can be localized only to parts rather than generalized. If they are generalized TB, the total animal will be condemned. If there are specific areas that are infected with TB, only those parts will be condemned. So they will have to be taken to, other parts of the animal will be all right to be consumed. That's the nature of the TB. We have meat inspectors in slaughterhouses. They are the ones who can identify portions of the meat that are infected with TB.
All right, thank you. Are you clear that it is not for consumption? It is just for, is it, what's the word for it? Destruction or something? Yeah, thank you. Thank you, honorable members. I think as this is a appropriate juncture, we will now suspend our proceedings for our morning break. Parliament will resume in half an hour.